Alright, so now we take a look at textbook, page 103, multiple choice question 7. So what is the question asking about? He's asking about which of the following potassium compounds contains 52.4% by mass of potassium. So I will write it as in this way. The potassium percentages in those compounds is 52.4. Alright, let's record the formula of percentage by mass in a compound. So for example, percentage by mass, how about let me put a percentage here. And usually we'll write elements, or for example, like potassium, or we also write water here, right? It will equals to NX times MX divided by M compound times 100, right? What does MX represent here? NX represents the number of atoms, or you'll say the number of water molecules. MX here, then it will be the number of atoms or the number of water molecules divided by M compound. So here, if we try to write it, this one should be NK and mass of potassium over M compound times 100, right? Now let's take a look at 4 different choices. So the first one, A is potassium carbonate. Let's try to write chemical formula for each compound here. And the fourth one will be potassium oxide. So now for potassium carbonate, for potassium the charge should be plus, right? What is the charge for carbonate? Remember from page 88 in your book 1B, this one should be CO3 2 minus, right? If we do a cross method, then the formula should be K2CO3, right? Because I put 2 here and put 1 here. Similarly here, K plus CO minus 1 and 1, so here should be KCl. And also sulfate. What's the charge for sulfate? If you don't remember, please pause here and do some revisions on your book 1B, page 88. It will be SO4 2 minus, right? It will be 2 here and then 1 here. K2SO4. Potassium oxide, it will be also O2 minus. So we'll have 2 here, 1 here. Then we'll be able to get K2O. And now we are being able to get all the chemical formulas for these compounds, right? So now, how can we know that it's 52.4? It is actually has a very, what should I say? A very easy way to help you determine in your 4 MCQs. We will only need to calculate the mass of potassium, within those compounds, and also we will only need to calculate the mass of the other part. So here, if we take a look at the potassium, I will put it all, drag it down to the later part. Duplicate? Yeah, I'll put it here. So now we have those different chemical formulas, and let's try to calculate for each mass. So for example here, 2 potassium should be 39.1, right? And then here we only have 1 potassium, so 39.1, 2 potassium, and also 2 potassium. And let's calculate the blue sections. CO3, this one will be 12.0 plus a 16.0 times 3, right? Related power will be 35.5. SO4, S will be 32.1 plus how many oxygens here? 4. And then what's the mass of oxygen? 16.0 times 4. And also for oxygen here is 16.0, right? Then we should be able to derive the mass. Type it in your calculator. The left one should be 78.2 And also here is like 39.1. This one is also 78.2, 78.2. Alright, then if we take a look at the mass here, the mass here should be like 50, I'll use another color. It will be 52.4, right? If that is 52.4, let's draw a pie, then it will be more than half of it, right? 52.4, which means the number of potassium and this one over this one will be more than half of it. We will look together of these big pi as the compound. Which means if the mass of potassium and the rest of it are similar, then this surely will be the answer, right? If you find it a bit hard to follow, let's take a look at the numbers. So here would be 48 plus 12. This one is 60. That's 35.5. Here is 64.32.1. Plus. So here will be 96.1 and also 16 here. So we have different numbers here. Let me drag it down to represent the pi. Yes. The 52.4 is potassium, right? Which means potassium is greater than the rest of it. All right. So the rest of it will be highlighted in blue color here. Alright. Let's think for the blue color at the rest of the mass. Will it greater or smaller than potassium? As like if we use here it should be, let me use a blue color. So here it should be like 100% minus 52.4. This one should be like 47.6, right? So 47.6, it will be surely less than 52.4, right? And then we'll determine that the rest of the blue colors, if that is greater, then it shouldn't be the answer, right? All right, let's see here. This one is greater. This one is smaller, but these two are not close to each other. So for C and D, we just eliminate it. And I say here. Oh, very good. These are greater than. The potassium are greater than the blue area here. And then we'll have to calculate which one should be the correct answer. Alright, if we're following the formula here, like NK times MK divided by M compound. So let's do choice A here. It should be 78.2, right? We have already calculated. Divided by the mass of compound, so we add it all up all together. This one should be 56.6 if you type in the calculator. And then if we take a look at question B, it will be 39.1 divided by 39.1 plus 35.5, right? Times 100%. So this one will be 52.4. The numbers are really close, but if you know what is the method and what is the contents underlying behind, it will help you to easier identify the questions. You can eliminate C and D easily. You can also do like the percentage by mass compound, like calculate it 4 times. If you find it's easier for you, you don't necessarily need to follow this method. You can just, for example, here also like 78.2 divided by 78.2 plus 96.1 times 100. You can calculate it. I didn't calculate it, so here it should be 78.2 divided by 78.2 plus 16.0 times 100. So if you calculate it, you will surely know that these answers are definitely not belongs to that skull. Alright, then we should be able to know that if the percentage is exactly 52.4, we should choose boy here, right?